Have I seen you with the backwards hat? I don't know.
Maybe I need to be more vulnerable on a show where everyone is bald today. So I'm going to take this off now. Two-way guys, that is the way of the NBA in the playoffs. So like Marcus Smart, even though he just got fined for obscenities directed at an official, I still think guys like that, you need those guys to do the dirty work in the playoffs.
Every championship team needs a guy like that. Wait, here's a question, and let's figure this out in real time. Tom, when's the last championship team that didn't have a crazy dude? I can't think of one. I see behind you, you have some shoes by the door. Very nice pair of shoes. And slippers, shoes, I don't know. And you got a doll on a chair.
Wait, I
what
thought
is
we were
that
talking
doll?
about all-star votes, and now we're talking about my Anthony
No.
Davis
It's a-
Pelican
it's
ball
an-
right behind my left
Oh,
shoulder.
of course it's Anthony Davis. Not able to play.
I thought you were going to talk about star power, but maybe I just need to spend the next 20 minutes giving you a tour of my office here.
I'm no political scientist. You are a political scientist. I come to politics the same way I come to hockey. I'm just here for the fights. And we got a good fight.
It's unnecessary fighting between white folks that for some reason is covered like it's not the anomaly that it should be.
Thanks for hanging out with us on Brother from Another. Today I have a special announcement to make. This is big. Michael Smith will join the show tomorrow.
Let me tell you, it is real.
That's right. Michael Smith will join Brother from Another tomorrow. And we're so excited to welcome him to the program.
Being on that field, you lose sleep, you hurt for your brother, a lot of shared grief, but to the question before, getting updates and positive updates eases so much of that pain and that tension that you feel, but Coach handled it as perfect as anybody could. I don't typically like using emotion to answer questions, but yeah, like the scene just replays over and over in your head, and there's, again, it's hard to answer that question and actually describe how, I felt, how my teammates felt in that moment. It's something we'll never forget, but to know that Damar is doing okay, and I know there's still a lot of things and stuff that he has to process and continue to go through to get back to himself. We're just, again, we heard that news this morning, and there's nothing that could have been told to us to bring our day down. We're extremely happy for him and his family. We just want to love up on him. So the next chance we get, I don't know when it's going to be. If we get to see him anytime soon, man, it's going to be awesome. I do want to say one more thing, and I haven't reached out to T. I hope that he got some relief today, and I don't know. I saw some stuff on Twitter, and people should not be attacking him whatsoever, and I'm glad that Damar's family came out and said that, and hopefully he found some relief today, because again, that's a football play, and I hope that he doesn't hold that upon himself, because again, there's nothing else that he could have done in that situation. So I just wanted to say that too.
Damar's mom hit me, texted me this morning, and told me, about everything, and it made me feel even more at home, and I really appreciate them, just hearing from them and them having my back as well. Yeah, it feels good.
I'm not a big social media person, but Josh did share something with me via text that he saw earlier today, and I looked at it, and it was, maybe you've seen it, it's about what maybe Damar's mom is going to share with him when he wakes up, and it's excuse me. It's amazing to know the impact that this has had on so many people, and for now Damar to be awake and his mom, to be able to share that with him it's incredible.
Incredible words across the board. Incredible sound right there. What a week. And I'll admit, Michael, I'm still processing it. You guys have done a great job on your show of appropriately articulating the emotions around this entire Damar Hamlin situation. I'm a little nervous, to be honest with you, man. So first of all, Damar, of course, spoke to the breathing tube is out. Spoke to his team today virtually, and
that's great.
You know, that was just phenomenal. So it's like this such an awful start to this week. The news just keeps getting better and better. You guys discussed, of course, yesterday his did we win question when he woke up, and the doctor saying yes, he won the game of life. His recovery, everything's looking promising. Again, still some progress to be made, but it looks very promising from where we started. And so now we're a couple of days from football resuming, from the games going on. Bills Bengals has been canceled. We'll get more into that fallout in a second. But I wonder, man, just now that we're here on this Friday with all this good news and we're about to kick off Week 18, how do you feel? It feels soon. I don't have a proposed alternative in terms of, hey, we should cancel this week's games because eventually they're going to play football again. Let me just indulge me for a moment.
Go ahead, because I want you to, and really, as I indulge you, I want you to follow up, elaborate on the statement that you said you're a little nervous. I'm curious about that. Go ahead and share.
I'm sorry. I'll elaborate on that first, and then I'll just kind of share, I guess, what I've been kind of thinking these last few days or trying to process these last few days. Nervous just because it's like I just don't know how I'm going to feel watching it. The most important thing, let me say this, is Damar's health. That at this point, it should go without saying, but I think we do need to reinforce that. The most important thing is his health and his full recovery. But as time has gone on these last few days and his health has improved, it feels more okay than initially was to think and talk about football. And so now that we're about to start playing football again, I'm just like, how am I going to feel? How are we going to feel watching these games, let alone how are these players going to feel performing in these games? I mean, look, this is their job. And we know you got to be wired differently to do this to begin with, okay? They take these risks. They sign up for these risks. They know the inherent risks that they're taking on their physical health, their mental health, short and long term, and they do it anyway, and they love it, and they're compensated for it. They make this choice. So I understand, even though I couldn't do it, I understand how they're going to go out, be able to go out and perform because they do it all the time. People get carted off or stretch it off all the time, and the game keeps going. But this hit differently, no pun intended. This hit differently. So I'm interested and anxious to see how the players perform so soon after this catastrophic incident. I'm also interested in how I'm going to feel just watching football. Like you and I have watched countless hours of football. I talked about football for countless hours over the years. I think it's going to feel different watching these games post Damar Hamlin. And lastly, at the risk of rambling, I'll stop in saying this last thing. It's just fascinating that this cardiac arrest was the thing that shook everybody up. Whereas I was in Cincinnati week 4 when Tua Tagovailoa assumed the fencing position when he suffered what we think was a second concussion. Okay? Either his first of the season or second out of 3 this season. And how awful that scene was. That game continued. and the games went on. There have been so many instances of either players suffering brain trauma or developing CTE and later in life tragically taking their own lives, whether it's Junior Seau or Dave Duerson. Or just maybe people not coming close to death on the field, but their lifestyles or the quality of life being destroyed as a result of playing football. This is not some sermon about how bad football is. I love football. I still love football. I will always love football. I'm not anti-football. You know, I'm the parent in the house that at least is entertaining the conversation with my son, or was entertaining the conversation with my son. My wife has always been a hard no about Mason playing football. Like, hell no. Absolutely not.
Right.
So I'm not anti-football in any way, and I've not become anti-football. I'm just saying maybe the word is conflict, and it's just interesting that Damar Hamlin went to a place having to have CPR administered, went to a place that's not all that far beyond what we've seen other players either suffer in the short or the long term. Like, this game breaks bodies. It destroys minds. This is the price that is paid for football. This is the price to play football. This is the price that is paid for our collective entertainment, for our national obsession. And so it's just going to feel different watching this weekend. That's a long answer for why I'm nervous or anxious. It's just going to feel different. I haven't quite known how to process it all week. God bless you and many others who've done an exceptional job of putting this into words, but just, I don't know. I don't know that it's ever going to be the same. Hopefully Damar Hamlin, most important, is the same eventually. But I don't know that the football experience can really ever be the same after 24 million people and watched in real time on Monday night, and many others have since watched this game from an injury standpoint go where we haven't seen it go maybe ever. Does that all make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does make sense. And you talk about us putting it into words on the show this week. I'm not sure that we have. We've tried. And that's the best way to do it, is try to talk it through. That's why I think Robert Saleh did one of the smartest things this week. Head coach of the Jets brings the players in and allows the players to take the floor and take over the room and just kind of express themselves about how they were on the outside looking in like the rest of us. They don't have to play the Buffalo Bills this week. They weren't playing the Buffalo Bills on Monday night. Yet this is something, Mike, that affected everybody, whether they're football players, Bengals, Bills, or the 30 other teams, or football fans, millions of football fans across the country and across the world. So Saleh allows his players to come in and just talk and ask questions to the doctors who were in the room. I think that's part of it. You are in this field, talking about the players here. You're in this field. You've been doing this for a long time. You're the best at what you do. And every now and then you step back and say, what are the risks again? Wait a minute.
Right.
That can happen.
Have you seen or
why are
heard
we doing
anybody
this?
even bring up the idea of not playing? I'm talking about individuals. Like, I don't think anybody's been scared out of football by this.
I haven't heard it. So
which again speaks to
it's
how you have to be wired to do this.
Yeah, it's hard to really conceptualize. I used to say to myself all the time, like, okay, just like these silly conversations before this happened. I'd have conversations with people. I'd say, what would you rather do? Would you rather, stand in a boxing ring and take a punch from a world champion, or would you rather, be out there in the slot, catch a ball in the slot, and then there's no sideline for you. You got to run to a sideline. You got to outrun a corner, a safety, a linebacker. You're going to get hit. What would you rather do? And I always say, no thanks on both of them. No thanks. So it's really a sport. They are used to it. This is what they do. And
it's their job.
Unfortunately,
it's their livelihood.
Unfortunately, Mike, there's no wake-up call. There hasn't been a wake-up call. I'd say between like 1997 and I'm going to tell you about 1997 in a second. Between 1997 and 2022/23, hasn't been that big wake-up call until
years.
now. And how long does it last? So 97, Reggie Brown playing for the Detroit Lions. Lions versus Jets. Same thing happens to him. The same thing happened to Reggie Brown. Now, we don't talk about it that much. Bill Belichick brought it up. He was an assistant on the Jets, with the Jets in 97 when it happened. Last game of the year, Reggie Brown loses consciousness, CPR on the field. He's revived. Thank God he is still with us today, living his normal life. But that was Sunday at 1. It wasn't on Monday Night Football.
Wasn't Monday Night. Wasn't social media,
and the coverage,
the internet.
It was a different league. It was a different league.
Yeah.
It truly was a different world. So we've had, as you said, we've had concussions. We've had devastating injuries on the field. We've had former players who have told us, hey, my life is not the same. You mentioned Duerson. You mentioned Junior Seau. We just lost, remember last year, we lost Demarius Thomas. Some similar issues, football related. Here in Boston, BU has done an amazing job of really studying the brains of players to see what the evidence of CTE was. And they've really advanced this research. But still, I think, Mike, the reason a lot of players haven't said, okay, well, I need to slow down, is because they haven't had it in front of them. You can think about a lot of things. People can warn you. If I had Gary's sweet potato pie in front of me, and somebody said, you know, you shouldn't eat that whole pie because it's going to hurt you down the road. Okay, I'm going to eat this pie right now because I'll worry about down the road later. I'll worry about that later.
Emphasis on
nobody's
right now.
thinking,
that thing didn't last.
Yeah, right now.
It didn't last very long in my house.
Right now. Yeah. And I think a lot of players say, 24, 25 years old, even 30. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll worry about it later. But to see that happen in front of you, to see it and to hear it, it does give you pause, but pause. It's a pause.
Briefly.
I think if it's your industry, and it's dangerous, and that's what you know and that's what you love, you keep doing it.
Well, that's exactly right. It's what they know. It's what they've been trained to do. It's a deal that they made with themselves a long time ago. And this is just an extreme example of the danger, but they know that this could happen.
But they didn't know that this could happen. That's the twist.
Well,
I think there needs to. I'll bet a lot of players are saying, "Well, wait a minute, whoa, what happened?"
Well, but okay,
what happened?
All right, but yes, this could happen, but this is such a rare situation. You know what I mean? Like this isn't your everyday garden variety injury. We haven't, seen it exactly play out like this, where somebody just collapses from cardiac arrest. I mean, but again, the defensive position or somebody being knocked out cold is fine, or somebody going on and struggling with the rest of their lives is fine, because that comes with this particular territory. So, what you about to say something?
Well, no, I was just going to say, though, but you're right. You're right. But there was a point where we weren't fine with that. Like, it's almost.
There was a point where we thought that concussions was going to kill the game. How long have you been predicting the demise of professional football because of head trauma? And that never came
I'm
to
with
pass.
you. Mike, I am with you all the way that, I'm not anti-football, love the game. It's almost like, where will my love pause? Because it hasn't. Because there was a time, whether it was, concussions, there's a really, really high chance that if you practice X amount of time, if you take hits to the head like this, there will be concussions. Okay, concussions. And then we see it on the field, and we see fencing. Now, we didn't know that term. Hey, what's that? What's going on? That's scary. Right. The player is just putting his hands up. But then now we get used to that. Now we see this on the field. That can happen in football. But I'm still looking forward to all the games on Saturday and on Sunday. So is there anything that will make me pause my love for football? And it's not injury related, but I just want to point out there have been some moments. There there have been times where I've said about football, they don't really care about, they truly don't care about social justice. They don't care about equality and
that's
fairness.
where I thought you were going.
And,
all the reasons
I still
that they've given you to quit them. They're giving you a lot of reasons. The NFL is giving you a lot of reasons to quit them. Yes.
And there's some folks who really stepped away. They stepped away.
Yes.
That's right.
Colin Kaepernick, domestic violence, whatever, sexual assault, whatever the issue, institutional racism. There's a lot of people that have quit football just for its systemic issues, let alone the inherent violence. Again, this isn't a sermon, to borrow the phrase from the word from your feed item. Damar speaks, and that's the entire sermon. Amen to that. This isn't a sermon against football. It's just like, I wonder, just how it's going to feel watching it, given the last thing we watched. But, these games are going to go on. And listen, even if they would have postponed the games for this weekend, which came up initially, potentially, postponing this weekend's games, they would have eventually played them again. They're not going to be postponed indefinitely. They're not going to shut the NFL down or cease playing football in order to do some kind of study about or to turn it into flag football. Like, even if they took this week off for whatever reason, just to give everybody a chance to breathe and to step away, it'd come back the next week. Or they'd have made it, you know what I mean?
Keep going.
This train gonna keep on moving. This train's gonna keep moving. What God forbid, praise God that it did not come to this, but what if Damar Hamlin had not come through this? What if he was still struggling for his life right now? What if he had not? What if he were not on the road to recovery the way he is? What if, you know what I mean? Like,
I think the
Bills.
I think the Bills.
What if the medical staff had not responded as effectively and efficiently as quickly as they did in that moment? You know what I mean? Like, it's just, this could have gone a different way. And my point is, it could always go a different way. I think that's really my point. Is like, this is an extreme example of something that happens over and over again. And this captured our attention. Maybe it was the Monday Night Spotlight, like you said, the CPR. I'd never heard the word CPR that I could recall in the broadcast about a guy on the field. The whole situation was just so traumatizing for everybody obviously involved on the field, but everybody watching at home. But it's just like, somebody gonna get laid out Sunday. A lot of people gonna get laid out Sunday. And it's gonna do damage to them that maybe isn't as urgent and attention grabbing as CPR in the moment. But it's just, man, I don't know, man. I've just been thinking a lot this week about the price these guys pay and what they put on the line. And really the theme of this season, I mentioned Tua, now Damar Hamlin, has been humanity. If we've got nothing from this season, we've really, whether it's treat them like patients and not players. That was the takeaway from the Tua controversy. And here's Damar, literally a patient in the moment. More than anything, I think the story of this season, the headline of this season, has been these guys as human beings and the human cost that they pay, practice in and practice out, game in and game out. I guess the Hamlin situation just crystallized it. It was an isolated incident. It's not something it's not common, but nonetheless, my point is it doesn't have to be that extreme for us to realize, like, this is. I mean, we know it already, but we just compartmentalize and practice cognitive dissonance when it comes to it. Like, this is a deadly, violent game, and there are people at BU that are studying this and screaming this from the rooftops. But anyway, I'm just kind of emptying the clip.
You brought up a good point too, and I want to say just to underline what you said already on this. You don't really know what you have. You don't know what kind of leaders are in the room sometimes until adversity strikes. So sometimes the people that you expect to lead, they do. And then there's somebody off on the side who kind of emerges in that moment. You didn't see it coming. They didn't see it coming. They just do what they think the situation calls for. Look, I knew Sean McDermott was an excellent head coach. I knew that based on what he'd done on the field with the Buffalo Bills. They were an afterthought in the division for a long time. He came in, they got better and better, and now they're the class of the division. So I knew he knew what he was doing when it came to X's and O's. But his leadership the last few days has been exceptional. He was asked about it yesterday.
This
he said,
season.
He said, I did.
Season.
He said,
think about everything that they've dealt with in Buffalo. Everything that they've dealt with in Buffalo.
That's right.
Going back
on
to
the field,
preseason.
off the field.
On the field, off the community.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so
he
said,
say?
I did what anybody else would do. No, you did what you would hope other people would do, but some people aren't thinking like that in a moment. And not that they're bad people, but sometimes people just kind of freeze up, or they're not able to think in the moment. They're kind of frozen, or they're delayed. And
Especially
he wasn't.
No
He immediately said, "Okay, no, we're not about this. We're not playing this game." I think the Buffalo Bills, their entire organization, wonderful job. Bengals too, but the players. You talk about the players, putting it out there. We should not turn up our noses at guaranteed contracts. I know we don't. Guaranteed contracts. That's the least. Yeah. That's the least.
Better
we
health care.
can do.
Better health care.
Yeah. Better health care.
Just like in that moment, they could not be expected to continue playing. There was no way they were going to continue playing. Like, it's only been a few days, and they're going to strap it up. They're going to strap it up again.
And also, real quick, if you see a first responder, if they ask permission first, you see a first responder, give them a hug. Hug them. First responders, medical professionals in your area, they save all of us. They were the superstars on Monday night.
Yeah. Thanks for bearing with me there. The games are going to go on, and we're going to talk about the fallout, as I mentioned, because these solutions are wild. Okay. One of my favorite sayings is, perfect is the enemy of good. And we knew early in the week that there wasn't going to be a solution that made everybody happy when it comes to how to handle the eventually postponed game, Week 17 game between the Bills and the Bengals. But I'm not good with this at all.
Yeah, man.
At all.
Yeah, man.
At all.
Yeah.
Like,
this is crazy.
So, I mean, there's two things. One is worse than the other. So we'll do the not as bad one. The neutral site AFC Championship game, which here's how we can get to a neutral site AFC Championship game. Buffalo and Kansas City both win or both tie this week. A Buffalo versus Kansas City championship game will be at a neutral site. Buffalo and Kansas City both lose and Baltimore wins or ties in Week 18. A Buffalo versus Kansas City AFC championship game will be at a neutral site. Buffalo and Kansas City both lose and Cincinnati wins. A Buffalo or Cincinnati versus Kansas City championship game will be at a neutral site. Hopefully it never comes to that. No offense to those teams. Hopefully it ends up being a moot point, but we could see a neutral site AFC title game. Worse than that is if the Ravens beat the Bengals. Michael, it all comes full circle for us. All comes full circle on Brother from Another. I know how much we both love the Ravens as an organization, but I'm sure you're rooting for the Bengals this week, not just emotionally, but on principle, because if the Ravens beat the Bengals and they end up hosting and they end up playing each other in a wild card round, the host of that game will be determined by a coin flip, which is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Right. Determined by a coin flip. Why are they doing this? Why I don't understand why they're going to these extremes.
We don't determine, just for the record, I want to point this out. They don't determine, or they at least try not to determine, the winner of a playoff overtime game on a coin flip anymore. Remember the coin flip held to, or even a regular season overtime game. Remember the coin flip, and it still has a lot of power. Remember the coin flip held too much power over the outcome of an overtime game? Now, who hosts a game in the playoffs, you're going to reduce it to a coin flip?
See, but I don't understand. I mean, that the whole thing, as you say, the scenario, it is as it is as wide-ranging and adventurous as the song that you quote here. I mean, it's all over the place, but not nearly as enjoyable. Where's Busta Rhymes to come in and just kind of make sense of this in his own distinct way? Look, Mike, they have the rules on the books. In this situation, just go by the rules. Just go by it.
It makes total sense. Winning percentage.
You've already had it. Winning percentage. That's it.
That's
it. Stay right there. Stay right there.
You already have a contingency plan. You have a plan in place for this very scenario. A canceled game, regardless of the circumstances, it's winning percentage. Now, in the middle of the season, y'all ain't got to fly the plane while you build it. Y'all don't have to make it up as y'all go along. This was a completely unnecessary intervention on the part of the owners, on the part of the competition committee, on the part of the commissioner. Leave well enough alone and just base it off winning percentage. The seeding should be based off winning percentage. If you have a tie, it's based on winning percentage. Is it not?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like you can make the playoffs with a tie or miss the playoffs with a tie based on winning percentage.
Yeah. I think Katie Blackburn from Cincinnati, now because she's affiliated with Cincinnati, this could be perceived as, that it goes against the Bengals, so of course she's against it. No, Katie Blackburn said something last night that makes perfect sense. She said we should not be changing rules during the season. We should wait till the offseason to change, because if we change rules during the season, biases can come in, impulsivity can come in, maybe sentimentality.
Do they ever change
I'm adding
that.
I'm adding the sentimentality part, but I understand what she's saying. She's absolutely right. Why are you changing these rules now? Because you know what would happen? It's like if Buffalo says anything right now, then we all gonna co-sign it. This is what we want. We're all gonna co-sign it. If Damar Hamlin and Sean McDermott said, you know what? We want to be a governor and vice governor, or lieutenant governor of New York, they'd win. I mean, like, we all love them. I'd go to New York. I'd become a New York resident to vote for him. Like, we're all about what's best for Buffalo right now, because we all are looking at Damar Hamlin and we want him to be, we want success for him. We want great things for him.
Can I interject with a quick observation and give it back to you? I can't wait to say it because I'm. Go ahead. It's very trivial, but it's me and you. It's me and you. Yeah. And Damar is doing better, so maybe there's a little levity we could bring to these conversations. Yeah. Michael Holley has become a fan of both the Bengals and the Bills. Who would have thought?
Imagine.
How about
that?
Imagine that.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
See, this is the beauty of sports.
If you watch this show, you know how miraculous that actually is.
It's the beauty of sports. But I still think you got to be careful. You got to be careful of going too far. And Mike, a neutral conference championship game, we got a neutral Super Bowl, that's fine. But a neutral conference championship game, not only is it something I don't want to see, it takes away from people. You've been around enough conference championships to know how it provides an economic boost to a city. Now, I'm not saying it brings in $30 million, although I don't know that it does it. But it will give you it gives your community a little spike. Restaurants, hotels, vendors, small businesses, stadium workers, they all benefit from a conference championship in their city.
A lot of people think Championship Sunday is better than the Super Bowl Sunday in many respects.
I just can't imagine why they did it this way. And everybody's going to say it's unfair, but you've all agreed to this. I'm guessing it's collectively bargained. Somewhere along the way, this was collectively bargained by somebody, or somebody knew this rule was on the books. So why are you making a push to take an established rule off and to create something that is a little convoluted and I would say nonsensical?
Well, I mean, if you're Kansas City, and I mean, Kansas City, I haven't seen, I don't know if they've spoken publicly on this, but like if you're Kansas City, you can't complain right now because of the circumstance. Everybody wants to, approach this the right way, but it's just like, wait a minute. It's like, if we've earned the right to have the number one overall seed and have home field throughout, like it's almost rendering the regular season, our accomplishments meaningless if it is now a neutral site game because of an unfortunate set of circumstances. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, I would almost prefer they say it's in Buffalo. But a neutral, that's such a cop-out. A coin flip in a neutral site is such a cop-out in both instances. It's like, okay,
right.
if you want to go to, just say, okay, you know what? Bengals had a game canceled. They lost a home game. We're giving them this playoff game. But a coin flip is like, well, blame fate. We'll let fate decide. Who are you, Harvey Dent? It's like, it's winning percentage.
Right.
It's winning percentage. Right. Period. Full stop. There's absolutely no reason to open up Pandora's. It's like not only did they open up Pandora's box with this solution that caused problems more than it solved, it's like they went and said, hey, you got a Pandora's box I could have? Anybody got a Pandora's box? They went searching for and then opened the Pandora's box instead of just going with the rule they had, which was in place in the first place. Don't you think people thought about this rule a long time ago when they came up with this rule? Don't you think there was off-season conversations and discussions about, hey, what should we do if a game gets canceled? What should we do if one team can play fewer games? Oh, I don't know. What if there's a pandemic? What if there's a global pandemic and some games have to be canceled? How are we going to handle it? Win percentage. Makes sense to me. Makes sense to me. Okay, cool. Let's move on. Here they come trying to solve a problem that ain't there. It's like we don't need to, what's the thing on social media? Like, nobody. NFL. How about a coin flip to determine who hosts the wild card game?
Yeah.
How about a neutral site?
Yeah.
Like, this is so unnecessary. I wish somebody would explain the rationale. Am I missing the rationale? Has there been some explanation as to why they thought this was necessary?
If you're missing it, I'm missing it too. I guess they look at it and say, well, you look at Kansas City. Kansas City's going to get that one if they beat the Las Vegas Raiders, Jarrett Stidham's Las Vegas Raiders. So tomorrow. So Kansas City is going to have their 14th win by winning that game. And we all know that Buffalo can't get there because they have one fewer game. So Buffalo, they look at it and say, Buffalo beat Kansas City. Buffalo beat Kansas City. Cincinnati beat Kansas City. So why should Kansas City get this top spot? Just because. Okay, that's what I say. Just because. Okay, like they didn't create this issue. Buffalo didn't create it. Cincinnati didn't create it. Just stick with the rules. But I'd say also, Mike, neutral field does not benefit the Buffalo Bills. They don't want the neutral field either. Hey, one of the great things
doesn't benefit anybody.
But especially Buffalo. What an advantage.
Well, but I mean, obviously, yes, from a weather standpoint.
Lake effect. Lake Erie.
It's pretty damn cold in Kansas City in January.
Lake Erie is undefeated.
Arrowhead's one of the toughest places to play. Buffalo's one of the toughest places to play. The jungle nowadays, except when the Bengals go. But the jungle.
No. I was just thinking.
Benefit anybody.
I was just thinking back to my childhood. Lake Erie. Cleveland's on Lake Erie. They've lost playoff games. The drive happened there.
That's a good point.
But the point.
Yeah,
but
Browns
most of the time,
Lake Erie being
nobody wants to go in there. But here's the other thing, and I want to assure you. You want to talk about levity? This will make you, if you think back a couple of decades, this will make you feel good about yourself. You didn't waste time, and I didn't waste all that time playing Madden. We didn't play all those games. It was simulation. We simulated. It was essentially coin flips, computer algorithms. You got the percentages right, so we could play our playoff games. So the NFL is essentially doing what we did 20 years ago. You feel better? I do.
It's just the coin flip. How about rock, paper, scissors? I prefer rock, paper, scissors. At least I have some control over that. You know what I mean? But I mean, can we just get rid of coin flips in general? Like, I just want to, even for draft, you know how many draft picks have been decided based off coin flips? It's like, we got to find a better solution than coin flips. Who's flipping the coin? How are they flipping the coin? Was it heads or tails and it rested on their thumb? Where did it land? Did it bounce? It's like,
no coin flip.
I hate that.
You can't do that.
No coin flips. No coin flips. No coin flips.
But I'll tell you what's not a coin flip. I know what's going to happen. Mike, just a quiz. I know your memory is a little shaky, but you were there. You were there for this game. The biggest upset in New England Patriots history, where they were on the right side of it. Where they were on the right side of the upset. What's the biggest upset in the New England Patriots' entire history? You were there. The game was in your hometown. It was at the Superdome.
Yeah, of course.
Which is what?
Right. Super Bowl 36. Yeah.
Super Bowl 36. Biggest upset in Patriots history. That was in the postseason.
At the time, it was in Super Bowl history at the time. It might still be.
Right. For them to win this game, it would qualify as the biggest upset in the regular season for the New England Patriots. Oh, I feel for them. Going into Buffalo in this situation, nobody wants them to win. Nobody wants the Patriots to win. So they've got
that would be the case anyway.
They got an emotional tidal wave.
Edge emotionally?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Oh.
That's interesting.
Oh,
that's
yes.
Interesting. You think, so after the week that they had, after what they just experienced, Buffalo has, I mean, listen, there's going to be a lot
Josh
of
Allen said,
and across the league, they're going to be
Josh Allen,
Damar. Are they playing for Damar? Yeah.
And he said a couple of things. One, he said, there's nothing you can say that will bring us down after the news we got. We played that clip.
That's true.
Then
That's true.
He said, Mario Hamlin, Damar's father, talked to them and said, you've got to play. You've got to play for my son. He said, he didn't just tell us, he demanded that this is what we do. Your goals are still in sight.
Yeah.
You're playing for the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So they got permission.
He's okay.
They got permission from the family. Hey, man, don't get distracted. You're still the Buffalo Bills. So think about all the things that the Patriots have going against them. They're playing against a team that's much better than they are. A team that beat them by 30 points in the playoffs last year. Has beaten them already this year. Score appeared close, but the game wasn't. Then a team that has something to play for on the field and off the field. Woo! Ooh, boy. Oh, boy, oh, boy, oh, boy. This is one of those homecoming games. This is
a homecoming game.
It's a homecoming game. It's a homecoming game.
A homecoming game. Okay. Wow. Yeah. No. It has turned. I mean, early in the week, I would not have seen it that way. We can go to break, Gary. Early in the week, I would not have seen it that way. I would have thought that, man, how are the Bills gonna focus? How are they gonna go out and perform for this game, even against a team that an overmatched in this matchup? Patriots team, but yeah, it's now that he's better. He's spoken to him and told him he loved them. He mentioned what his dad said. You know, now they gotta, you know, they're playing for somebody bigger than something and somebody bigger than them now. You know, yeah, it's gonna be emotional day across the league with the tributes, decals. It's something. It's gonna be something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's right.
I still don't know how I'm gonna feel watching it all. It was just Monday. I'm still kind of stuck in Monday.
I know, it feels like it was so long ago, right? But it wasn't.
You talked about not being yet in peak form, and also earlier in the season you wouldn't be able to do what you did tonight. So playing 46 minutes and only having one night off, what's going to be your approach to the next game, and how's your body feeling?
I feel great. Recovery day tomorrow. We owe Detroit one. They beat us early in the season. We can keep this thing rolling. My approach Wednesday is do the same thing I did tonight. I mean, that'll be a tough encore, but just come out aggressive early, hunt great shots, hit the open man, be a leader, and play great defense. Do those things and have fun with it. Like, it's a joy to be here and just be a warrior.
Speaking of joys to be here, it's always a joy to have Natalie on the show. How much joy did you feel, or have you felt, covering the Warriors and asking that question so calmly, so smoothly, open-ended and neutral, just
and
like
lean.
we taught you? Well, it wasn't quite lean, but that's okay. I wouldn't want to talk. That's okay. It was a great question. It was a great question. Got a great answer. Just how did you feel, Nat? Because we were proud. We were beaming with pride.
Thank you. It was definitely exciting. By the time I got to Klay, that was my second question. So I was sort of a pro. And the nerves had settled a little bit, but it was an incredible experience. Like every day I keep pinching myself to see if this is real.
Nat is a natural. How about that? Who knew?
You stay with the bars.
That's a feed item right there.
Oh, welcome to this side of the family, I guess. Yeah. I wasn't say the dark side, but you know.
Nah, it was definitely cool. Unfortunately,
did anybody know? Did they know you?
Who, like the players or who? Like other media?
The players. Yeah, the players.
Players.
Players like, hey, what's up, Nat? The Klay say,
yeah, right. I follow you on Twitter.
Nat, that's a great question.
Down for us.
Yeah. Let's just say that. I mean, I didn't go to anyone and say, hey, I'm Nat Fluential from Twitter, but I feel pretty confident that some of the players probably know me, even if they don't follow me. But yeah, I didn't.
Okay, let's just say she played it cool. She ain't revealing nothing. I like it. All right. We showed on time. You here to take us into the comment section. So fire away.
What's up with these comments, Nat Fluential?
Well, if you noted, like in Klay's presser, he said we need to get the Pistons back, and they did not get the Pistons back. And so I kind of predicted off air that they may not win that Pistons game. But another game I predicted and got right was the Christmas game. And Mike, you weren't here for this, but Mark Spears came on like right before Christmas, and he was talking about the Warriors, and you know they were on a skit at that point. And I think Holley, you were on, right? And Vince was it maybe? I can't remember who else was on that. No. It wasn't Vince. But anyway, it was Jim Trotter. And so everyone, just the outlook was negative for the Warriors. I wasn't on air actually. And I'm texting them like, no. The Grizzlies are losing on Christmas Day. So we ended the show, came back, recorded an extra segment, put it on YouTube, and it got a lot of hits. But people the Warriors ended up winning. So people were calling me like a fortune teller. They want me to give them the lottery numbers. Shout out to Real Chris Moore, who is a regular supporter of the show.
Yes.
He was
Thank you. Appreciate you.
He was like, oh man, Nat's gonna be in us, like going in on us, like, you know, because of this loss. But unfortunately, or fortunately for Chris, we didn't have shows that week, so I didn't get to gloat about it, but I just wanted to call it out. And someone else said, like, I'd be taking them to church. So I'm happy that the people are pleased, but I'm also giving myself a little shout out for the right prediction.
Go ahead. Shout yourself out.
Hold on to those.
Good stuff.
What else you got?
What else is out there in the street?
On Monday, you guys were having a conversation about Brady, and Michael Holley is all out on him. He thinks the Bucks have no chance of even getting a playoff game. Michael Smith said, don't doubt the GOAT. He might. The polls agreed with Michael Holley, but the comments, there were a lot of comments who agreed with Mike Smith. And also, they were going in on Dallas, like just a lot of shots at the Cowboys. Oh, they're playing the Cowboys, so Brady will win. So,
yeah. That's low hanging fruit, though. You know, Nat and Mike, you know that's low hanging fruit. People either love it. They're such a polarizing team. People love the Cowboys, or they love to hate on the Cowboys. But this is a little different. This is not your cousin's Cowboys team. Very good team. Got a real case for being the best team in the NFC. They're not, but they're in that conversation. I think they're significantly better, Mike, than the Buccaneers.
Yeah, no, I've been trying to make up for writing them off after the first game of the season against the Bucs all season long. Love what the Cowboys are doing. The Bucs aren't my Bengals. I'm not going that far. I'm not about to gas this bandwagon up. You know, it's not like the Bucs haven't recently won. So my point is, it's like I get all the reservations, all the doubts about Tampa, but like the absolute nature in which you've said, or the vote was ain't no way. It's Tom Brady. There's always a way. What else you got, Nat?
Yeah. So, Michael, you've been missed. People want to know where you're at, and one user, JCal said, you're gonna have to update your avatar with the new fro, because they want to see an updated avatar. So, but you were spot on. This was in response to our Hackett short that we put up over the holidays, because you predicted Hackett was in over his head very early. So he said you're spot on, but also we need to get your Avi updated.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was also stubborn about Urban Meyer last year. So, hey, that's what I'm saying.
But
like, great call on the prediction with the Warriors. Nat, do this long enough, you're gonna miss some too. I miss them quite. I miss quite a few. I keep those receipts too. I remember the ones I missed, Michael. I know you don't think I do, but I remember the ones I missed. Go ahead.
I must say, I like the fro. I like the fro and agree with the user. Like, we need to update your Abby to reflect it.
Okay, Mike, what were you gonna say real quick?
That's good. I like it. No, real quick. Who should be the coach of the Broncos, Mike? You know, you got Hackett, so give us another coach. You got a coach in Q who would be good for them?
Let me get us some thought. I mean,
I got one.
Bieniemy makes sense, stealing from Kansas City.
Bieniemy would be
where
great.
are you staying?
Gerard Mayo,
I ain't trying to get in your business, but that hotel room is fire.
Hey, thank you for watching Brother from Another. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, go ahead and do that now. Don't forget, you can catch us 3 to 4 weekdays on PeacockTV.com and on Sirius XM Channel 85.